Will the West ever miss an opportunity to benefit from a war? After leveraging numerous conflicts for gains, the West deployed the UN under the slogan, "We are here to help," in the Congo War. But why has the West suddenly taken an interest in resolving the matter after so long? Do they seek to exploit this currently trending conflict? Rwanda has opposed the UN's assistance, suggesting that they are present for exploitation. But will Congo allow the UN to exploit its war? Let's find out. Rwanda is not letting UN support for the Congo war slide in. The Democratic Republic of Congo DRC has been embroiled in a prolonged and intricate conflict. What exactly is the nature of this conflict, and what factors have contributed to its endurance? The conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo has endured for decades. It is fueled by internal and external factors, each contributing to its complexity. Ethnic tensions play a significant role, with the DRC home to numerous ethnic groups vying for power and resources. These tensions are often worsened by competition for control over the country's rich natural resources, including minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds. Political instability further complicates the situation, characterized by weak governance, corruption, and a lack of effective state institutions. Neighboring countries such as Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi have also played a part in the conflict, either by supporting rebel groups or intervening militarily for their interests. Historical grievances stemming from colonialism and past conflicts, such as the Rwandan genocide, continue to fuel animosities and contribute to the perpetuation of violence. The DRC's proximity to other conflict zones in Central Africa exacerbates its vulnerability, with cross-border movements of armed groups and refugees adding to the situation's complexity. Despite numerous peacekeeping missions and diplomatic efforts by the international community, achieving lasting peace in the DRC has proven elusive due to limited coordination, resource constraints, and competing geopolitical interests. But what is the DRC conflict? The Democratic Republic of Congo conflict refers to a long-standing series of armed conflicts and political instability that have plagued the eastern regions of the country in Central Africa for decades. This conflict involves complex factors, including ethnic tensions, competition for control over valuable natural resources, historical grievances, and political power struggles. It has led to the involvement of numerous domestic and foreign armed groups and has drawn in neighboring countries, exacerbating regional tensions. Despite various peace agreements and international efforts, violence and instability persist in the eastern DRC, making it one of the most protracted conflicts in the world. The DRC conflict is not merely a single event, but a culmination of historical grievances, ethnic tensions, and power struggles. But what underlying causes and key phases have shaped this ongoing turmoil? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The Democratic Republic of Congo conflict is a deeply entrenched issue that has evolved over decades, driven by a culmination of historical grievances, ethnic tensions, and power struggles. At its core, the conflict is a product of the DRC's complex history, including the legacy of colonialism and exploitation by foreign powers, which has left lasting scars and deep-seated grievances among the Congolese people. Ethnic tensions, stemming from the country's diverse array of ethnic groups, have been exacerbated by competition for resources and political power, leading to conflicts between different communities. Control over the DRC's rich natural resources, particularly minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds, has been a major driver of conflict, with armed groups and various actors exploiting these resources for financial gain. Weak governance, corruption, and a lack of effective state institutions have also fueled political instability, further contributing to the turmoil. Neighboring countries such as Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi have historically intervened in the DRC conflict to support rebel groups or pursue their interests, adding another layer of complexity. The conflict has gone through key phases, including the First and Second Congo Wars, which involved multiple African countries and rebel groups and resulted in widespread devastation and loss of life. Despite various peace agreements and international interventions, violence and instability persist in the eastern DRC, highlighting the challenges in addressing the root causes of the conflict. Achieving lasting peace and stability in the region will require addressing these underlying issues and historical dynamics through comprehensive and inclusive approaches. But what about Rwanda's involvement? Why is its name attached to the matter? Rwanda's involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC conflict is indeed a contentious issue, deeply rooted in its history, particularly in the aftermath of the Rwandan genocide. The genocide, which occurred in 1994, resulted in the mass killing of ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus in Rwanda. In the aftermath, a significant number of Rwandan refugees, including both perpetrators and victims of the genocide, fled into the eastern regions of the DRC. This influx of refugees created a complex humanitarian situation and heightened security concerns for Rwanda. Rwanda's motivations for involvement in the DRC conflict have evolved. Initially, Rwanda intervened in the conflict out of security concerns, particularly along its eastern border. The presence of armed groups, including Hutu militias responsible for the genocide, posed a perceived threat to Rwanda's stability. Rwanda aimed to eliminate this threat by intervening in the DRC and preventing attacks on its territory. Additionally, Rwanda's involvement can be viewed within regional power dynamics. The desire to assert influence and shape the political landscape in the Great Lakes region has been a factor. During the First and Second Congo Wars, Rwanda sought to support rebel movements and install leaders sympathetic to its interests in the DRC. Control over valuable natural resources in the eastern DRC, including minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds, has also been a significant motivation for Rwanda's involvement. Some experts argue that Rwanda, among other neighboring countries, has been illicitly exploiting these resources, contributing to the perpetuation of conflict. Moreover, Rwanda has justified its interventions in the DRC as preemptive actions against perceived threats to its security. The government has argued that taking military action in the DRC is necessary to prevent the resurgence of armed groups and protect Rwandan interests. Overall, security concerns, regional power dynamics, and economic interests influence Rwanda's involvement in the DRC conflict. While Rwanda denies direct involvement and emphasizes the need for a peaceful resolution, its actions in the region continue to be a source of controversy and international scrutiny. But why exactly did Rwanda continue this conflict? Rwanda's involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo conflict is indeed a contentious issue deeply rooted in its history, particularly in the aftermath of the Rwandan genocide. The genocide, which occurred in 1994, resulted in the mass killing of ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus in Rwanda. In the aftermath, a significant number of Rwandan refugees, including both perpetrators and victims of the genocide, fled into the eastern regions of the DRC. This influx of refugees created a complex humanitarian situation and heightened security concerns for Rwanda. Rwanda's motivations for involvement in the DRC conflict have evolved. Initially, Rwanda intervened in the conflict out of security concerns, particularly along its eastern border. The presence of armed groups, including Hutu militias, responsible for the genocide, posed a perceived threat to Rwanda's stability. Rwanda aimed to eliminate this threat by intervening in the DRC and preventing attacks on its territory. Additionally, Rwanda's involvement can be viewed within regional power dynamics. The desire to assert influence and shape the political landscape in the Great Lakes region has been a factor. During the First and Second Congo Wars, Rwanda sought to support rebel movements and install leaders sympathetic to its interests in the DRC. Control over valuable natural resources in the eastern DRC, including minerals like coltan, gold, and diamonds, has also been a significant motivation for Rwanda's involvement. Some experts argue that Rwanda, among other neighboring countries, has been illicitly exploiting these resources, contributing to the perpetuation of conflict. Moreover, Rwanda has justified its interventions in the DRC as preemptive actions against perceived threats to its security. The government has argued that taking military action in the DRC is necessary to prevent the resurgence of armed groups and protect Rwandan interests. Overall, security concerns, regional power dynamics, and economic interests influence Rwanda's involvement in the DRC conflict. While Rwanda denies direct involvement and emphasizes the need for a peaceful resolution, its actions in the region continue to be a source of controversy and international scrutiny. But now, after the UN has decided to help this conflict end, why has Rwanda stood against it? What are Rwanda's concerns, and why does it oppose UN support for the intervention? Rwanda's objections to the United Nations support for the South African-led intervention in the Democratic Republic of Congo stem from several concerns, reflecting its complex relationship with the conflict and regional dynamics. Firstly, Rwanda consistently denies direct involvement in the DRC conflict and disputes allegations of its participation. Therefore, it views UN support for the intervention as an endorsement of these allegations, which damages its diplomatic standing and portrays it as a party to the conflict. Moreover, Rwanda is worried that UN support for the intervention could escalate regional tensions. The involvement of external forces in the DRC, particularly those led by South Africa under the Southern African Development Community (SADC) umbrella, is perceived as an interference that could exacerbate the already complex regional dynamics. Rwanda fears such intervention might target or implicate Rwandan interests, leading to unintended consequences and further straining relations. Furthermore, Rwanda's objections are linked to concerns about the credibility of historical grievances. It could be perceived as a biased approach if the UN endorses the SADC mission without adequately addressing Rwanda's perspective and historical concerns. Rwanda seeks a more balanced and impartial evaluation of the historical context before accepting external interventions. Additionally, Rwanda emphasizes the need for a peaceful and diplomatic resolution to the DRC conflict. It argues that diplomatic channels and negotiations, rather than military intervention, should be prioritized to address the root causes of the conflict and find a lasting solution. Rwanda's opposition to UN support for the intervention underscores its commitment to avoiding an escalation that might lead to a broader regional conflict and advocating for a more nuanced approach to resolving the complex dynamics in the DRC. But what are the goals of this intervention, and how do they intersect with the broader dynamics of the conflict? The South African-led intervention in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as part of the Southern African Development Community (SADC) mission, aims to achieve several key goals that intersect with the broader dynamics of the conflict. The primary objective is to combat rebel groups operating in the DRC, focusing on groups like the M23. These rebel movements have been a long-standing source of instability in the region, and the intervention seeks to eliminate or neutralize them to restore peace and security. Additionally, the intervention aims to restore stability in the eastern regions of the DRC, which have been marred by persistent conflict, violence, and humanitarian crises. By addressing the root causes of instability, such as resource competition and ethnic tensions, the mission seeks to create an environment conducive to social, economic, and political development. Another essential aspect of the intervention is to protect civilians from the impacts of armed conflict, including displacement, human rights abuses, and violence. Ensuring the safety and well-being of the local population is a key goal to promote long-term stability in the region. Moreover, the intervention aims to prevent the conflict's cross-border threats and spillover effects into neighboring countries. By stabilizing the situation in the DRC, the mission seeks to reduce the potential for regional destabilization and conflicts. Beyond military objectives, the intervention aims to facilitate peace and reconciliation efforts among different ethnic and political groups within the DRC. Establishing a dialogue and conflict resolution framework is crucial for achieving sustainable peace. Overall, the goals of the South African-led intervention in the DRC intersect with the broader dynamics of the conflict by addressing key drivers of instability and violence. By targeting rebel groups, restoring stability, protecting civilians, and preventing cross-border threats, the intervention seeks to contribute to regional stability and pave the way for long-term peace and development in the Great Lakes region. But how will the intervention impact regional stability, and what are the potential consequences of mismanagement or opposition? The success or failure of the intervention in the Democratic Republic of Congo hinges on its ability to stabilize the country and prevent regional escalation. The intervention's impact on regional stability largely depends on how effectively it achieves its objectives and manages potential challenges. Regional stability could have positive ripple effects if the intervention stabilizes the DRC. A more secure and stable DRC would likely reduce the risk of cross-border conflicts and spillover effects into neighboring countries. Moreover, it could create a conducive economic development and cooperation environment in the Great Lakes region. However, mismanagement or opposition to the intervention could have dire consequences. If the intervention exacerbates existing tensions or misunderstandings, it may fuel further violence and instability in the DRC and neighboring countries. Additionally, opposition from key actors such as Rwanda could complicate efforts to achieve peace and escalate regional tensions. Furthermore, if the intervention fails to address the root causes of the conflict or effectively protect civilian populations, it could damage trust in international interventions and perpetuate cycles of violence. This could have far-reaching consequences for regional stability and development. Overall, the intervention's impact on regional stability hinges on its ability to navigate complex dynamics, address underlying grievances, and garner support from key stakeholders. Effective coordination, transparency, and inclusive dialogue will mitigate risks and foster lasting peace in the region. Despite tensions and differing perspectives, conflict may not be inevitable. So, how can communication encourage understanding and pave the way for a peaceful resolution to the conflict? Diplomatic channels and communication play a crucial role in promoting understanding and paving the way for a peaceful resolution to the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Even amidst tensions and differing perspectives, effective diplomatic engagement can help de-escalate conflicts, build stakeholder trust, and identify common ground for negotiations. Firstly, open and honest communication channels between conflicting parties, regional actors, and international organizations are essential for addressing misunderstandings and clarifying intentions. By facilitating dialogue, diplomatic channels can provide a platform for parties to express their concerns, grievances, and aspirations, thereby promoting mutual understanding. Furthermore, diplomatic efforts can help identify areas of shared interest or concern among conflicting parties. Diplomats can foster cooperation and collaboration toward peaceful solutions by highlighting common goals, such as the desire for stability, security, and prosperity. Moreover, diplomatic engagement can facilitate confidence-building measures, such as ceasefire agreements, humanitarian access, and prisoner exchanges, creating space for more substantial negotiations and conflict resolution initiatives. Third-party mediation and facilitation can also play a critical role in diplomatic efforts. Neutral mediators, such as international organizations, regional bodies, or trusted diplomats, can help bridge gaps, facilitate dialogue, and build trust between conflicting parties. Ultimately, sustained diplomatic engagement, backed by political will and commitment from all parties involved, is essential for achieving a peaceful resolution to the conflict in the DRC. By promoting dialogue, understanding, and cooperation, diplomatic channels can lay the groundwork for sustainable regional peace and stability. How important are transparency, communication, and mutual understanding? Transparency, communication, and mutual understanding are fundamental pillars that can lead to a sustainable resolution to the Democratic Republic of Congo conflict by fostering stakeholder collaboration and dialogue. These elements are crucial in building trust, reducing tensions, and creating an environment conducive to peaceful resolution. Firstly, transparency ensures that information is openly shared among stakeholders, reducing the likelihood of misunderstandings and suspicions. By providing access to relevant data, agreements, and decision-making processes, transparency promotes accountability and fosters trust among parties involved in the conflict. Effective communication is equally essential in promoting understanding and cooperation. Clear and open communication channels enable stakeholders to express their perspectives, concerns, and interests openly. Through dialogue, parties can exchange views, clarify misunderstandings, and identify areas of common ground, facilitating the search for mutually acceptable solutions. Moreover, mutual understanding arises from empathetic engagement and active listening to the perspectives and needs of all parties involved. By acknowledging each other's experiences, grievances, and aspirations, stakeholders can develop empathy and respect for one another, laying the foundation for collaborative problem-solving and conflict resolution. By integrating transparency, communication, and mutual understanding into conflict resolution efforts, stakeholders can more effectively and collaboratively address the underlying causes of the DRC conflict. This approach promotes inclusivity, fosters trust, and builds resilience, paving the way for sustainable regional peace and stability. The international community's role, including the UN, cannot be overlooked. What steps should be taken to ensure that external interventions are transparent, impartial, and conducive to lasting peace in the region? Ensuring that external interventions, including those by the international community and organizations like the United Nations, are transparent, impartial, and conducive to lasting peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo requires a comprehensive approach, prioritizing accountability, inclusivity, and respect for local perspectives. Several key steps can be taken to achieve this goal. International interventions must be transparent in their objectives, decision-making processes, and resource allocations. Transparency fosters trust among stakeholders and enables effective oversight, ensuring that interventions are accountable to the populations they aim to assist. External interventions should actively involve local communities, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders in decision-making processes. Inclusive approaches ensure that interventions reflect affected populations' diverse needs and priorities, and promote ownership and sustainability. External actors, including UN agencies and peacekeeping missions, must uphold principles of impartiality and neutrality in their engagement with conflicting parties. They should refrain from favoritism and avoid actions that could exacerbate existing tensions or perpetuate inequalities. Interventions should be designed and implemented with a thorough understanding of the conflict dynamics and their potential impacts on local communities. Conflict-sensitive approaches minimize unintended negative consequences and contribute to peace-building efforts. External interventions should prioritize the protection of human rights and the promotion of the rule of law. Efforts to address impunity, promote accountability for human rights violations, and strengthen justice mechanisms are essential for building trust and fostering reconciliation. External actors should support capacity-building initiatives and empower local institutions and communities to participate actively in peace-building and development efforts. Strengthening local capacities enhances resilience and sustainability in the long term. International interventions should be coordinated closely with national and regional actors and other international partners to avoid duplication of efforts and maximize impact. Collaboration facilitates knowledge sharing, resource mobilization, and the alignment of strategies towards common goals. By sticking to these principles and taking concrete actions to ensure transparency, impartiality, and inclusivity, external interventions can contribute effectively to lasting peace and stability in the DRC and the broader Great Lakes region. Should the UN use an approach more focused on fixing the conflict instead of finding some benefits in war for the West too? Let us know in the comment section how you think this situation can be exploited. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.